Hello, Rama Rama Puppoda. Hope all are in good health, feeling very peaceful, having a relaxed life, and happy always. Now, let's start with a new book. This book name is In the Vision of God. This is in continuation of the experiences in Quest of God by Swamy Ramdas. Now let's start with introductory note. I feel it is a great honor and rare privilege that Mahatma Ramdas has asked me to write a brief introductory note to his experiences collected in his In the Vision of God. I came to know Ramdas through his In Quest of God, but it was nearly a year after I read the book that I was privileged to meet him, and ever since October 1926, it has given me the greatest happiness to spend as long a time in his company as his numerous travels, some of which are chronicled in the present book, and my worldly duties would allow. Every time I have been with him, I have felt that each day spent in his blessed company was intrinsically worth far more to me than many months that I spent at Cambridge. Books can give us learning. Contact with distinguished professors can give us enthusiastic interest in scientific research, but neither will give us the secret of that ever charming and blissful smile, redolent of childlike surrender to the will of the God, which beams out of the face of Mahatma Ramdas. Readers of his In Quest of God will see how in the earlier days Sri Krishna's assurance in the Gita 9:22, to those men who worship me alone, thinking of no other, to those ever harmonious I bring all security, was verified even in the little details of his everyday life. In the present book also, many such instances will be easily recognized. I would in particular draw the attention of the reader to the vivid way in which Ramachandra Das came to believe in the mighty potency of that great sloka of Gita. The life and teaching of Ramdas is, however, dominated equally by the other great sloka of the Gita. 1866. Abandoning all duties, dharmas, come unto me alone for shelter. Sorrow not, I will liberate thee from all sins. And also of the Upanishad Mahavakya. Verify, verily all this is a Brahman. Whenever it happens that a person comes to Swamy Ramdas with the idea of showing his own superior mental acumen got from the study of the books, it is amusing to hear Ramdas say, "Oh Ram, this Das knows nothing but what you have chosen to teach him. In your Leela, you have now come to him pretending to be ignorant, as if to test Ramdas whether he has learned the lesson rightly. I am, of course, not quoting the exact words, but the spirit of the way in which the superior person come to question Ramdas would be met. When, however, a person comes to him with humility in his heart, anxious to learn, then he will get luminous ideas of the way which will lead to the feet of the Lord. May the Spirit of the Lord be infused into more and more persons by their contact with Ramdas, is the earnest prayer of his humble admirer, S.R.U. Savor. Now let's go to the next, which is called preamble. By the command of the Almighty Lord, Ramdas, his child, undertakes the task of continuing the story of his experiences from the time and place where he broke off at the end of his first book, In Quest of God. The narrative of In Quest of God extends over to 1 year's life after the great change came upon him. The purpose of the present book is to draw further the thread of the same narrative and it contains an account of his later experiences in the course of 12 years that have elapsed. Before proceeding with the story, it would be necessary for him to place before the reader a brief summary, mainly concerning his spiritual struggle and evolution, so that it might bring out in a proper perspective the later experiences chronicled in this book. It was about 13 years ago in Mangalore that the all merciful Lord of the universe first fired Ramdas' bosom with a need knowing to realize him. From that time, his life has been undergoing a marvelous change. His one overwhelming passion and aim of life was to live for God and God alone. God's powerful name was indelibly stamped on his tongue. Now it was that he was becoming conscious of a divine influence working silently but irresistibly in him, gradually dominating and possessing him. He felt an awakening within the very core of his being. With steady steps and unflagging zeal, he now entered upon a path of rigorous self-discipline. The trials and hardships of the path did not daunt him. Repeated appeals, persuasions, and remonstrances could not make him swerve an inch from his path. He was calm, earnest, and determined. As time passed in prayer, fasting, and repetition of God's name, the consciousness of divine possession and guidance assumed such a predominance that at last the divine voice within him drove him forth from Mangalore into the wide world. What was his condition in his momentous hour? He was a dazed and helpless creature, caught in the grip of an all-powerful being. He did not know what he was doing. He was under the full control of the almighty power, without any offer of resistance on his part. Just as a baby in the hands of his mother. Verily, it was God alone who held him, a God who is at once his divine mother and master, so real, loving, kind, and good. Blessed indeed is the day when God made Ramdas entirely his own. O Mother and Master, divine, all glory to thee. How tenderly he nursed and guided his newborn offspring during his first year itinerant life all over India forms the theme of In Quest of God. During that period, what was his mental state, manner of life, and outlook upon the world? His mind was merged in a unique stillness of peace. His life was one of the unreserved self-surrender, and as regards the world, in a sense, it was not there for him. That is, he was dead, as it were, to the world. He was traveling from place to place like an automaton, as if in a dream, indifferent to nay, unconscious of his body and environments. All through it, God, to whom he had surrendered up his life, was mysteriously influencing his movements and controlling and taking care of him in every way. It was really an entire dedication on one side and watchful, benevolent protection on the other. He experienced that he was living and moving in a new world in which he felt that there was none other than himself and his great master Ram, is all in all. In this wonderful vision of inexpressible ecstasy and peace, he struggled to dwell always. This exalted consciousness, possessing, as it did, the characteristic of perfect vacancy or emptiness, was filled with an ineffable rapture of peace, silence, and repose. The dual throng, pleasure and pain, good and evil, cold and heat, etc., relating to the physical body affected him not, for his mind was not there to take note of these sensations. It would always be in tune with the infinite spirit of stillness and peace. There were occasions when, under certain conditions, he would be dragged down with a jerk, as it were, to the sense of the old world and its associations, but he would be instantly pulled up by that silent and watchful spirit within. In those days, Ramdas haunts were caves, jungles, ruins, riversides, graveyards, hills, and cremation grounds. It appeared that these places exerted on him a strange fascination. Instinctively, he avoided the din and bustle of the city life and was unconsciously led away from it to dreadful solitudes. The sense of fear had vanished from him entirely. Danger and death had lost their terrors for him. A feeling of perfect assurance, security, and protection was ever with him. The powerful Ram Mantram never left his lips. He was uttering it like a machine. Okay, folks, let's see in the next continuation of this chapter. Okay, bye. Thank you. Bye bye. Rama Rama Pupoda.